Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, good evening. February 16th, 2023. We're here today to talk about the fastest entrepreneur programs in all of Canada. Everyone loves the speed at which this program can be completed for your Canadian PR as an entrepreneur or investor, but you may not love the weather down there. Today we're covering one of Canada's fastest entrepreneur programs, which leads to permanent residency for you and your family, which are also our favorite programs. Hello, my name is Reza and I work with the Ingwe immigration team helping applicants move to Canada, whether it's for yourself, your kids, or your business. We do make it happen. Let me make this clear. I'm not an actual full-time YouTuber, although some may say that you are, but no, I'm not. I work on hands-on with our licensed team here in Canada in our office, working on actual applications, representing our clients, and communicating with the IRCC and embassies overseas and inside Canada. These videos are made to share our hands-on knowledge with our worldwide audience. And if you're thinking about immigrating to Canada, well, we're here to help. Get a free email assessment by filling out the form below this video. Today we're covering our two favorite and fastest provincial entrepreneurial programs in Canada. The Manitoba Provincial Entrepreneur Program and the Prince Edward Island Entrepreneur Program. Why are they considered the fastest and why are they our favorites? Two criteria to make it on our list today in this live stream. Number one, all the immigration entrepreneur programs in Canada, which are administered by each province under the Federal Immigration Act and subsequent regulations, start with a work permit. You're expected to run a business inside Canada, whether existing or purchasing an existing business or starting from scratch, or a specific duration, for a specific duration in the province before being nominated by the province through a nomination certificate to apply for a PR. After which you apply to the federal government for your PR. There are two key timeline factors which impact the processing time from the day you start the application process for these programs to the day you receive your PR. Okay, so we're going to cover these two key factors. One is the minimum duration of time you need to actively manage the business inside Canada on your closed work permit before the province nominates you for the PR. So remember, before you're nominated, you're a provincial nominee candidate with the work permit. So this is after you were invited, after the interview, after you apply for a work permit, you get the work permit, you run the business, and then you're nominated, right? So that timeline to actually run the business inside the province, that is a minimum requirement for the province, is one of the key factors in terms of how long it will take you to actually apply and obtain your PR. The second factor is the amount of time the provincial office, also known as the PNP, will take to issue and process the nomination certificate after the minimum duration of your active business operations has been fulfilled, right? These are the two factors, because even after you run it for that duration of time, which is the minimum requirement, and you submit your forms, the province will take some time to process it, right? So that's also a key factor. These are the two factors we like. The province of Manitoba's entrepreneur program has one of the shortest durations. Durations of actively managing your business inside Canada before being eligible for nomination, being 6 months. This is half the time of most other provinces, which typically ask you for 12 months of running the business or even longer, like BC and Ontario. And the province of Prince Edward Island's entrepreneur program takes our prize, our second prize, for the fastest nomination certificate processing. Since it's the smallest provinces in Canada, it's quite efficient. The nomination certificates for your PR in some provinces can take up to 6 or even 8 months, but in PEI, it can take 3 to 4 months after you have all your documents submitted to their PNP office, and which is why it's one of our favorites and fastest programs alongside Manitoba. Now, why are they our favorites and how can we prove that they're our favorites? Well, because they're the fastest provincial entrepreneur programs, they're our top picks today. For that same reason, I will be visiting both provinces, and I've visited them before, so that's also why they're our favorite. This summer, helping clients complete exploratory trips and supporting their applications for the entrepreneurial programs in these two provinces. I will be visiting both Winnipeg and Charlottetown, capital of Prince Edward Island, which are the capital cities of each respective province. You can't ask more than that to prove that they're really our favorites. As the old saying goes, I'm putting my money where my mouth is. My God, I almost got that wrong. That's pretty embarrassing, but that's okay. I trust everyone watching us today. Why don't you join us this summer on our trips to these two provinces where we can obtain your PRs through one of the fastest programs compared to Ontario, BC, Alberta, or even Quebec and the territories, right? So that's key. And here's a bonus reason why we love these two programs. Their points-based system is very discretionary in terms of being selected or invited to apply. So they're not necessarily looking for the highest points in your application, right, in your expression of interest, but rather eligible applicants who can A, bring something to the province in terms of benefit, economic benefit, or B, have ties to the province or are serious in settling in that province with their families. You can't say that about Ontario or BC or any of the other provinces, which always look at the minimum points of the entrepreneurs in the provincial pool before issuing the invitation to apply. Only other exceptions are Nova Scotia, New Brunswick and Newfoundland, who are also practicing similar methods of issuing invitations to their applicants based on what they prefer, not exactly the highest points. So if you cannot claim high points for your profile due to your education, language, maybe age, other factors, don't worry. There is a potential solution with these provinces that allows you to be invited as an entrepreneur, even though you don't have the highest points, and then become eligible for PR nomination after the specified timeline to run the business inside the province. And yes, you may be wondering why I didn't include Saskatchewan in our top list today in terms of allowing your business to run for a specified time period, which is also 6 months in Saskatchewan. It's a great province, very aggressive on immigration, especially skilled immigration and international students. And the points based, but the issues are here. That why it didn't make our list today. It's a points-based system which is not as discretionary as Manitoba and Prince Edward Island, and the investment amount is higher. Okay. And it's colder than Manitoba and Prince Edward. Saskatchewan is cold. I love it there, but and it's not one of our favorite because I've never visited Saskatchewan, right? And we're not visiting it this summer. And how can I sell a product if I don't believe in it? And if I've never been to a province, how can I sell it, right? I mean, you got to ask your immigration practitioners next time. Hey, you're sending me to Alberta or Prince Edward Island or New Brunswick or, I don't know, BC, Ontario. Have you visited there, right? That's key, right? I mean, come on, man. That's like basic 1, 2, 3s, the ABCs of figuring out if the person you're buying the service from believes in that province and has actually visited there. My own family immigrated through Prince Edward Island, so my extended family. So yes, I believe in their product. Let's do a side-by-side comparison of our two favorite provincial investor programs, Manitoba versus PEI, and check their eligibility criteria, timelines, and costs. Well, eligibility criteria in terms of language, IELTS 4, writing. So in IELTS, let's say if you're doing language, you need reading 4, writing 5, listening 5, speaking 5. In CELPIP, it's all 5s, right? Or you can take the equivalent French. In Prince Edward Island, it's actually CLB 4 instead of CLB 5 like Manitoba. So IELTS reading 3.5, writing 4, listening 4.5, speaking 4. So it's even lower, right? It's actually one of the lowest criteria for language score. But there's several other provinces who have that too. Minimum education requirements, high school diploma for both of them. Age restrictions, there's no age restrictions in Manitoba, although you don't gain points for it. They're not limiting you. Oh, you're 59 or 60 or 65, we're not gonna let you in. But in Prince Edward Island, they like 21 to 59. If you're over 59, you will not be eligible for the Prince Edward Island program, although you will be eligible for all other programs. And minimum business or management experience, 3 out of 5 years. I know in Saskatchewan, it's, I believe, 3 out of the last 10 years. Minimum investment amount, $250,000 in Manitoba, inside the Winnipeg metropolitan region. If you go into the rural regions, it's $150,000. So it's one of the lowest investment amounts alongside Nova Scotia and BC Regional Pilot. And in Prince Edward Island, of course, it's $150,000. No matter where you go on the island, in the province, it's very small, and I like it. Minimum net worth, $500,000. No matter where you invest, what you invest in, $500,000. Net worth between you, your spouse, or common law partner in terms of assets, liquid funds, and in Prince Edward Island, it's $600,000 total net worth. Is the net worth audit mandatory? Yes, for both provinces. Check, check. Can you buy an existing business or start a new one? Check, check. Yes, both are available. Stop the check, check. But the Prince Edward Island one actually has a database of businesses that have posted themselves online through the provincial province. So makes it even easier. Bonus points. How can you get those bonus points, those nice little bonus points? Well, your spouse or partner's language ability, if they have a score, work experience in the province, or your children or spouse's studies in the province, or family ties in the province. Same with Prince Edward Island, plus community endorsement. So if you've got a community endorsement from Prince Edward Island and you meet the minimum eligibility, at that point, it doesn't matter how many points you get. You just meet the minimum eligibility, you have a community endorsement letter, and bam, you're good to go. Exploratory trip requirements. Yes, Manitoba, you do a 5-day business trip or a 10-day working business. It's up to you, depending on your profile and, you know, obviously how much time you have. Prince Edward Island, it's actually not mandatory to do an exploratory, but if you have no ties, you've never visited there, it's not going to be easy, right? But it is not mandatory to do it in Prince Edward Island. Interview requirements. Yes, the interview can be either in person or online in Manitoba, and it's in person in Prince Edward Island. Prince Edward Island is small. They like that face-to-face. Everything is a little bit, you know, it's really small. It's like the whole province is literally a town. So everything is more like personal, right? Requirements to be nominated for PR. So you run the business in Manitoba for the minimum duration, which is 6 months, right? And you meet all the business performance agreement terms that you sign with the provincial office when they issue you the letter of support for your work permit before, and that's when you're a candidate, a provincial candidate. And that's before you finish running the business, when you become a provincial nominee with the certificate. Two very different things. Prince Edward Island, you run the business for the minimum duration. You provide prepared financial statements noting that a minimum of $75,000 in eligible operating expenses. So they have criteria for that. And you completed all the terms of the business performance agreement similar to the other provinces. How long do you need to run the business before you nominate? Manitoba, 6 months, as we said before you submit your final report. And Prince Edward Island is 12 months before submitting your final report. However, in Manitoba, you know, it may take 4 to 6 months to issue the final nomination certificate. In Prince Edward Island, it can take 3 to 4 months. And that's why it's be considered as one of the fastest timelines, not for running the business, but actually getting the provincial nomination certificate, making you a provincial nominee for permanent residency. Minimum physical presence in the province, 292 days, or approximately 80% of your time within the 6 months, and until you get your nomination certificate, should be spent inside the province. For Prince Edward Island, it's 274 days out of the first year. Provincial application processing fees, well, it's $2,500 non-refundable in Manitoba. When you receive your invitation to apply, you're submitting your documents and your net worth. You also pay the application fee to the province, and that's separate from the federal PR application fees, which you will pay later whenever you are nominated for PR. And in Prince Edward Island, it's a big amount. It's the biggest amount in terms of processing fee. It's 10,000 Canadian dollars that you pay the province. However, $7,500 is refundable if you're refused before the interview. Pay close attention to that, folks. And if you believe you can meet any of these minimum eligibility criteria and want to obtain your permanent residency for you and your family, then these programs might be for you. If you can't handle the harsh winters, maybe that's fine. The other programs in BC or other provinces may take longer to PR, but at least you're not in a rush. Whether you can't obtain your language score at the beginning stages, don't have the minimum net worth requirements for these programs, or other factors, there's always a program out there for everyone across Canada. So there will be one that matches your profile. The most important factor in this whole thing is to select the right program, which increases your chances of success for Canadian Permanent Residency based on your profile. No one candidate is ever created equally. Thank you, folks. And why should you subscribe to our YouTube channel? It's simple. The IRCC doesn't want you to subscribe to our channel. You know why? It's because we cover all the stuff they don't want you to hear or be shared in public forums, especially with programs such as the startup visa, refusals, work permits, LMIAs, you name it, and entrepreneur investor programs. You can either be stuck in the IRCC information machine that controls you, or you can break free. Which pill will you take, the red pill or the blue pill? If you're thinking about immigrating to Canada, well, we're here to help. I can guarantee you only one point. You will know what to expect. The entire process clearly laid out for you. All the risks and costs identified. And our legal agreements are based on payment milestones, which is linked directly to your application progression. We do not take 100% advance payment for your Canadian immigration application. There will be no surprises in terms of expenses or costs, but just results. We have a $1 million liability insurance, which protects you and us from fraud and or mistakes, as well as a dedicated client trust account with our Canadian banks. Our team speaks over 8 languages, and we help applicants from over 48 countries, which is increasing every day. Get a free email assessment for eligible applicants only using the link in the description of this video when it's posted, right? And if you're ready to apply, you can also book a one-on-one consultation with me or any of my colleagues at Ingwe using the consultation link, which will also be posted. And if you have questions, of course, we're live on our stream here on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram every Thursday, 11 a.m. North America Eastern Standard Time, where we answer all of your immigration questions for free on the spot. And yes, you guessed it, folks, we are live today on our YouTube channel, on Instagram and Facebook. Unfortunately, I won't be able to see your comments or questions on Instagram, Facebook, so you gotta hop over to YouTube. That's the only place we can see those comments because of the streaming software. It's not because I don't want to, it's just because of the streaming software. So let's jump in here, folks. What do we have? We've got, who do we have here? Mr. Bhupinder, good morning. Nanda Bhupinder from India. Yes, sir. How are you? Nice to see you. Good evening. I know it's, what are we, like around 10 p.m. there? We've got Reza. You're looking smart and handsome. Thank you, Mr. Bhupinder. I wish you had a webcam too. I could see my audience. That would make life easier, right? Jide Jival says, hello, Ingwe. Hello, Jide. How are you? Izoken Igalo. Hi. Hello, Izoken. Nice to see you again. Jide Jewel says, I'm not satisfied that the offer of employment is genuine. You did not provide a valid labor market impact assessment from ESDC. The employer has failed to provide an offer of employment to you as required under subsection 201C, subsection 21 of the Immigration Refugee Protection Regulations. And the offer of employment is inconsistent with the terms of the federal provincial government. This employer is ineligible to participate in the temporary foreign worker program. Okay. So, Jewel, that pretty much means what they told you. This employer, okay, there's something wrong with the job offer, right? I mean, was there an LMIA? Was it, did you try to go through a provincial nominee program? Because you have to meet the requirements of the provincial nominee program for skilled workers, get the nomination certificate, and then apply, right? So I'm just going to scroll down here. The above are the refusal reasons. I see you're right. The satellite offices don't know about the startup program. Yeah. Yeah. So, This was for startup, Jide Jewel. Can you clarify a little bit about this? So this was a startup visa refusal. So what you have to do is, what LMI exam code did you use when applying for this? That's what I need to know. Okay. I'm just reading the comments here. If you're joining us or if you're watching a recording of this later, remember, this is a live stream, no editing, no special effects. We're just going at it with the folks that are online. Jida says yes. I need to know the LMI exam code because you may have used T13 but I don't know what LMI exam code, because it may have been that they used the wrong application LMI exam code to apply for your work permit, because I've never seen a refusal like this for a startup. That's quite the thing. But if you have the application for your work permit, an application to make a work permit from outside of Canada, I think it's page 3 or 4, and there's one section which says your LMIA number, and then you have to put your LMI exempt code. It starts with an A. Okay, I will need you to check that and let me know. Angel says, hi Reza, a friend who is a SUVP work permit holder and right now in Canada got an inspection letter saying, as an architect, how are you doing an IT startup? What is this inspection letter from IRCC now? Okay, Angel, the key is, what do you mean by an inspection letter? Because usually you don't have inspections, except you usually have audits, but that's for LMIAs and other things like that. For a startup visa, actually in the regulations, they're actually allowed to come to your place of business to, inspect. But a letter, inspection letter, probably what they're saying is that they've sent a request or a procedural fairness letter. That's what I'm thinking, Angel. That how is your profession, your friend's profession and background going in any way related to this startup? Okay, that's the key. I think that's what they're asking for. I don't think it's actually called an inspection letter. So maybe you can check with your friend. You guys can email our office and we can take a look at it. But if it's a procedural fairness, they usually give you 30 days to respond because they are ready to refuse. If it's a request for information letter, that means they're reviewing your file. They probably got a permanent file number and a sort of visa. Now an officer is looking at the applications for all the group members, and this is maybe a doubt that they have and they want clarity before the procedural fairness letter. Okay, so I need clarity on that because there's no such thing as an inspection letter in these programs. There are audits, there may be inspections as other criteria, but not an inspection letter. Jide Jewel says, okay, I will. Yes, Jide, please get that for us. Angel, this was sent after work permit approval. It is called an inspection letter. The person has an acknowledgement has no AOR, has no PR file number, permanent file number, acknowledgement of receipt. So they don't have an acknowledgement of receipt for the PR, and they have a work permit. Got an inspection says, how are you doing an IT startup? So they approved the work permit, and they don't have. I'm sure they have a temporary file number for their PR, right? It starts with an X, I believe. So it's called an inspection letter. But how did they approve the work permit? This is interesting, Angel. I'd like to see that. If you have a copy, send it over. That would be good. Angel, where are you based out of? Are you based out of India? It's only temporary file number as of now. Yeah, Angel. Yeah, it's X. It's X. Starts with X. So they approved it. So I have to see the timeline. I need to see when the work permit was issued, like the approval. They have a work permit second, and when the letter was issued and from which office. This would be important. Plus, what have they been doing? Right? That could be another concern for IRCC. They came in and then suddenly they're doing something else. Right? Are they an essential member? Please clarify those. I need that, but it would be interesting to dive deep into that. Send us an email with all those details, maybe a copy of the letter. and it would be nice. Bhupinder says business seminar dates in Winnipeg. If you can check and let me know, I would be thankful. Bhupinder, no problem. It is in April, the first one. I forgot the exact date in April, but we can do that. You don't necessarily have to, like, if you can't make it to the seminar, Bhupinder, for Manitoba Entrepreneur Program, you know, it's fine. But if you do, it'll give you some good information. It's a Q&A session as well. You can come later if April is not, you know, matching your timeline. McLean Ado, hi Reza. Hey McLean Ado, how are you? So yeah, we're here live on our YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. On YouTube, we're answering questions. If you're joining us today, we just talked about the fastest entrepreneurial programs in Canada, which are our favorites. As I said, Saskatchewan is also fast, but they don't have that discretion in terms of the points. If you have low points, they don't invite you. But in Manitoba, Prince Edward Island, and 2 other provinces, actually, it's very discretionary. It's the quality of the applicant, not exactly the points that are key for them. Jide Jewel says, I also applied for a startup visa PR since December 2021 and got a letter in February 2022 with a temporary application number. It has been the same thing, no permanent. Yeah, so it takes about a year and a half, 2 years, Jide. So let's see, 2021. Yeah, about a year and a half. It takes about a year and a half to get your permanent file number. So that's normal. But in the meantime, you apply for your work permit, right? But again, we got to see what LMI exam code you used. Do you have an A number, which is what you sort of issue yourself a job offer, technically, right? So we got to see that to give you advice. So if you have any questions, folks, let me know. You can post it here on YouTube and we can answer your questions to the best of our capacity. Of course, next Thursday, we're back live on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube, and you can watch us. And every week we have different subjects that we cover. We release another video as well besides the live. We talk about startup visas, LMIAs, work permits, study permits, refusals, entrepreneur investor programs, express entry, you name it, or spousal sponsorship. And your questions can be related to anything. You do not need to ask a question about this specific subject that we're doing the video about. Angel says, to avail domestic tuition fees for undergrad, is it necessary that dependents should have study visa and also have to study in Canada for undergrad? Okay, so Angel, for high school, elementary, public schooling, the parents can have either a work permit or study permit. For undergrad, college or university, only at participating ones, the parents should have a closed work permit. Okay? So, and it's not every province and every school, like college or university, does not participate in the program, but there are certain ones that do, like University of Toronto, University of British Columbia, one of the 2 most expensive universities, George Brown, Seneca College. So there's a lot. So you can opt for that domestic tuition. McLean Ado says, I applied for a tourist visa 4 months ago. My wife is Taiwanese. She's using an ETA. And since then, I have acquired USB1, and UK, US, HB1, and UK, and Mexico. And the process time in Taiwan is 20 days as I checked. Have you followed up, McLean? I assume you're based in Taiwan. And I haven't heard from her, even though I've raised web forms to inform them. Yeah. So you're a resident of Taiwan as well, I assume, right? Let me know about that. But visitor visas, and what's the purpose of the visit? Like, let me know, do you have family in Canada? Is it a business event? Let me know what you can come up with there, and then we can do an assessment. You know, maybe live here on YouTube, Facebook and Instagram. Our lighting has changed, right? We're using LEDs. That's why it's not so warm anymore. It's like this cold white color in the video. McLean says yes. Okay, so I guess that means you are in Taiwan. Send the email directly to Taiwan, McLean. Why don't you do that? Because, and you know, I'm a resident. The purpose of the trip is important too. So keep on pushing with an email with my wife. Okay. Keep on pushing an email directly to the embassy. There's not much you can do. Okay. There's really not much you can do as a non-Canadian or you're outside of the country. They've just basically prioritized the cases. They're like, oh, he's going. There's no timeline. There's no immediate family reunion. So we can do his visa in 6 months, right? Or in 8 months. So you did a web form, send an email. Again, later on, do another web form, but do send the email. There's not much you can do. The only thing you can do is wait because IRCC wants to clear the backlog of 2 million or more visitor visa applications that are pending, or temporary resident visa applications that are pending. So you are at the mercy of the IRCC. To be honest with you, there's no single solution that can make your visitor visa get processed faster now after you've applied. Okay. Bhupinder says one of my known got IELTS 5.5. Can he get a visa for his master's program in a college or university? Bhupinder, it's tough with a 5.5. There may be private colleges or schools that they do have master's programs. For public, no. Usually it's typically 6.5. I don't want to confirm that, but usually our education team handles all that. 5.5, so they could do a pathway, right? Maybe they can do a program that bumps them up, like a pathway English program from 5.5 to 6, and then continue at the master's level. But I would recommend they do that from inside Canada, because IRCC does not like it when Indian nationals go through a language program and they apply from outside. That's pretty much high risk of refusal. And then Angel says, what are the different types of visas for a dependent that a valid work permit holder can apply? Dependent wants to finish high school from home country. What are the different types of visas for dependent that a valid work permit can apply? Yeah, I mean, right now, it depends what age they're at, Angel. So they can, if they're before schooling age, it's a visitor visa, and then they continue to do visitor records inside the country. If they're at school age, a minor, they will do study permits under the parents' work permit or study permit. And recently, dependents can actually avail for a work permit, right? So if they've finished school and they could technically apply for a work permit according to the new regulations that have been released this year by IRCC. So there's variations depending on age and dependency. And remember, 16. Yeah, I guess 16, high school, and then they can come in and do a study permit to continue at post-secondary, right? So that's possible too, but you still need an admission, right? You still need to pay the school, and if you've got a closed work permit, then you can save on tuition. But yes, they will be a dependent of you on the work permit, on the permanent residency. But if they're going to post-secondary, okay, it depends where you're applying from. So you could apply from inside of Canada with them and not meet the prerequisite because they're dependent of you. But if you're applying from outside, they're a dependent of you, but they still need all the other requirements. So there's a little nuances here and there depending on where they're applying from. What is, like, is it post-secondary, is it high school? There's all these little what ifs and footnotes. So I know it sounds confusing when I just explained and listened to it myself, but study permits, visitor visas, work permits, those can be done. Age 16, if they finish high school and come here, they can do, if they have a visitor visa, they can apply for study permit from inside Canada if they're dependent of a work permit or study permit holder, or they can apply from outside with the letter of admission and the deposit from the post-secondary college or university. And if you have a closed work permit, like you asked before, they can be eligible for local tuition at participating universities. And Nova Scotia, for example, there's no participating universities in that program. Corey Ferris says, hey, can I ask a question about immigration here? Corey, yes, but it seems like you've got a very difficult question, so I'll give you my fine print. I may not be able to advise you. I'm not doing any one-on-one consultations. I may not know the answer to your question, but yes, you can ask, and if I don't know, I'll be like, well, that's outside the scope of my expertise, because sounds like you have a difficult question to ask. But yeah, that's the point of these lives, to actually answer your questions if we can. Munis Reza says, what is the easiest and cheapest way to get a Canadian PR earliest at the age of 43? Well, it's getting married. That's the easiest and cheapest to a Canadian. I'm an Indian graduate, 3 years with 20 years outside Canada experience. And I'm Indian. Okay, you're 43 years old. It's you need to either get married, get an offer of employment from a Canadian company that hires you, invest in a company, okay, and come in as an investor or an executive or manager, or start your own business. I mean, literally those are the three things. I don't believe education at this point would be your top option unless you have a valid visa and we convert you from inside Canada. McLean Ado says, Reza, I want to ask for my guy here. What's the total cost if your organization is obtaining temporary work permit for an application? It depends, McLean, on is it inside Canada, outside Canada, is it a closed work permit, is it an open work permit, based on what? Like, is it an LMIA, LMI exempt, maybe a free trade agreement, mobility program under GATS? So, you know, our fees can range in different, depending on the situation, right? Where they're doing the application. I usually don't quote here on live. I don't do pricing, McLean, but you can send a message to our office, info@ingway.ca, and they'll be happy to quote you. You know, I'm not really doing sales here right now, but make sure you outline exactly where they're applying from, under what program they're applying, is it LMI exempt or not, and the conditions of it. Corey Ferris, gotcha. Okay, here goes. So I'm a U.S. citizen here in Penticton. Ah, nice. Penticton, BC. I like it. Peach Fest, right? That's where you get Peach Fest. Or no, maybe that's, yeah, Kelowna, maybe that's where we have Peach Fest. Staying with my girlfriend, boarder gave me 6 months to find a job here. Yeah, I mean, they didn't give you 6 months to find a job, Corey. They give you 6 months to stay. You want to find a job, right? So if I get an LMI job offer and it's all approved and I go to work for said company, if I get another job offer from a different company, can I quit said company and work for the other company? Okay, so here goes, Corey. So as a U.S. citizen, you also have CUSMA, right? You've got the free trade agreement, which was previously known as NAFTA. So there are certain occupations which are LMI exempt for you, okay? So it depends what your profession is. So I don't know. I can't answer that right now. But yeah, if you get an LMI job offer, right, like an offer of employment through an LMIA, you can start to work. And then if you quit and go for another one, you have to change your status, okay, to a visitor, and then apply again for work permit. And you can also go to the border with that too, to get that work permit, either the first work permit or the second. And oh, your job doesn't fall under that. Okay. Yeah, it's possible. But again, you've got to be careful, because IRCC or the border officers, they should not feel like you're sort of jumping around, you know, kind of taking advantage of the system. You've got to kind of, you know, sort of, you know, have some justification. I'm not saying they're not going to let you switch jobs. Okay, you're an American citizen. It's easy. But you should have some justification why you switch over. Maybe it was closer to your dependent, your partner, your common law partner. Who knows, right? Or maybe it fits more in line with your profession and background. Or maybe, who knows, you know, maybe the other company had financial problems, right? So this is not usually required, but I always say put something in there when you're switching LMI work permits to a new employer. It's possible, but again, you want to make it look logical and not like you're just kind of jumping around and taking advantage of the system to stay here and sort of working for the highest bidder, right? because you got to keep in mind, if you quit and the existing employer can also report you that this person is not working for us anymore, which is fine because you've already submitted a visitor record that you're changing your status and you're applying for a new work permit, right? But you gotta make it logical, smooth, no issues. McLean says, LMI fruit picking temporary base resident of Taiwan. Ah, yes, I know there's a lot of those, McLean. I know. So for Taiwan, LMI fruit picking temporary foreign working, and you're applying from outside. So usually we charge, I don't want to quote on live, but it's around 1,500 plus government, okay, taxes. That's what we do if everything is ready. Okay, if there's complications, it can go much higher. Corey Ferris, yes, Angel. So on visitor visas from inside Canada, dependent can apply for study permit without letter of offer. No, without doing the prerequisite, because Angel, when somebody comes inside Canada, right, there's only certain exceptions that allow them to convert from a visitor visa to a study permit holder, right? And that is one of them, as being a dependent of a study permit or temporary foreign worker who's holding a valid study permit or work permit. But you still need the offer of employment, especially if it's passed, if they're going into post-secondary, okay? Post-secondary, no matter where you apply, you still need the letter of admission. But from inside Canada, a dependent does not need to do the prerequisite, okay? That's the only exception, because if anyone applies for post-secondary, they need to either apply from outside with a letter of admission, or they need to come inside. Let's say somebody who's with 25 or 40 and do a prerequisite from inside for that academic program based on a conditional letter of admission, and then apply. But as a dependent of you or whoever, that dependent who's applying from inside Canada, who came in as a visitor visa, can apply without meeting the prerequisite, but having a letter of admission from the college or university. Okay, I hope that's, I explained it clearly. Gida Jewel says, hello Reza, we use the LMI exempt code C10 for the startup visa work permit. Yeah, that's fine, you use C10, but did you get an LMI exempt code? Like, did you have the code? Because you actually have to have a code. It starts with A, and you put that in there in your application. You use that, right? If you did, then the officers, you got to get the refusal notice from the global case management system. Okay, there's two ways to get it. One is you apply for the Access to Information Privacy Act online through your Canadian contacts, and you receive it within 30 to 60 days. Then you figure out, was there a reason or was it a mistake? Then you can ask for reconsideration. You can also go through judicial review, and you can get those notes within a week or 10 or 12, 13, 14 days immediately if you take it for judicial. But without knowing the refusal, don't take it blindly for judicial review. Corey Ferris says, even if it's a high wage stream job, does that make a difference? No, it doesn't matter. Even if the LMI is a contract, is for a year, does it matter? No, Corey, so even if the LMI is a contract, I'm still a bit too cool, whatnot. Also plan on marrying my girlfriend within the next year as well. Yeah, that's good. I like that. Yeah, you can quit, Corey. I didn't want to scare you there, right? So as long as it fits your work experience profile to do the job, right, and you're eligible, you've got valid status. Remember, applying from inside Canada sometimes takes 4.5 months to get a work permit. So what you do is you just go to the border, okay, and you get it, and you provide documents showing that you have the experience required for that job. You do a nice little paper application. Okay, but yeah, it's high wage. It's a 1 year, could be a 6 months, could be 2 years, right? So you could maybe just do the 1 year, or maybe even, as you said, you could quit before. So I don't want to scare you that it's not possible. 100% possible. High wage, typically, I'm sure, and it's a contract for a year. Even if the contract expires, okay, and you don't have that other second job, you convert to a visitor record, you stay inside. You know, if somebody else offers you employment, then you just apply again online with to convert yourself to a work permit, or go back to the border. Okay, so And the marrying is good. Just so you know, when you marry your girlfriend, you're eligible for a work permit, and usually within 3 months. Sometimes these days even 2 months, but I guess 3.5 months is safer. You can get a work permit for as being the partner, spouse, future spouse of your common law partner. Well, yeah, you're a common law partner. You don't become a spouse, I guess. But when you do a sponsorship application under common law or spousal, that person inside Canada who has valid status is eligible for an open work permit. So then you can just work for anyone, work for yourself, do gigs, do contract work. So there's a lot of flexibility that gives you. Oh yes, we had a code of 899999. Okay, got it, Jide. So what you need to do, Jide, is get the refusal notes, see where the error is. Did the officer make a mistake? Because that refusal doesn't look like a startup refusal. Like, it's not a genuine offer of employment. And look at the refusal notes, and potentially, if you've got a good case for your startup, you could take it to judicial review if you believe there was a mistake done, like an error of law by the officer. Because I've never seen a refusal like that for startup visa work permit. Sravani Viramala. Good morning, Reza. I'm Shravani. I have applied for work visa after 2 years of contract. Can I apply for PR? Yeah, depending. So, Shravani, you've got to be eligible for Provincial Nominee program or the Federal Express Entry program, depending on your work visa, right? You have to meet the eligibility criteria and go on. Corey says, yes, go to the border. I've spoken with border agents a lot, and they say they approve it same day. Yeah, Corey, it takes like a couple hours. Just make sure you don't carry any guns. They don't like that. You watch or deny it. Oh, no. They won't. Yeah, you watch these customs border, like reality TV shows. Half the issue of like Americans coming over is because they've got like legal guns, right? And then suddenly the Canadians find them like, what are you doing? But yeah, I'm just kidding there. But yeah, it's literally a couple hours, and go during a time when it's not too busy. So what you do is sometimes when you talk to them or you go, you say, what day time is the best time to come, right? So you don't get stuck in a long queue, or if they're frustrated and busy and they're like, yeah, what do you want? And you can get a grumpy officer. That's what I don't like sometimes at the border. Jida says, can you help us do that, Reza? And how much will that cost? We need help as our app is ready for launch now in Canada, and our 18 months contract, we think it will expire by April. Jide, yeah, send us an email. I'd like to see the refusals first, okay? So we will sign a contract to review the refusal reasons and then have a course of action. We just don't want to jump in without knowing anything blindly. Corey says, you're awesome, man. I'll definitely be coming to you when I do mine PR. No worries, Corey. Share the love. Good luck with the work. Good luck with your girlfriend. Penticton is a nice place, man. Love it. Sarfraz Ave says, hey. Almond says, hello, Mr. Almond, also known as Henry Roli. Investopedia, invest in Ethiopia. Nice. Investinethiopia.com. I want to make a company. Yeah, it's possible. You can register provincial corporations remotely. If you're interested, let us know. You can also check online. You don't need to work with us, obviously. Yes, I've watched the Canada Border Customs show. Yeah, yes, and I'm only 30 minutes from the border. Yeah, I know. My friend, he's a pilot. He actually lives near the border in that whole Kelowna, Penticton region. And he's always like, literally, I think he has a property that is on the border, and it's not even guarded. It's funny, eh? I don't want to give anyone ideas here. No smuggling, please. Bhupinder, thanks, dear. No worries. Thanks, Bhupinder. Yeah, today's session was a little bit long. Thanks, everyone, for joining. Sarvani, Saskatchewan province. I got place residence. Good. And what is the cost of living? Saskatchewan, no, it's perfect. So you use the Saskatchewan skilled immigration stream. It's the best. And you get 50 bonus points for having a job, a valid job. So you got to go through there, get your PR, Sarvani, even before you finish your 2-year contract, right? Or whatever duration it is. Cost of living, I don't know. Like I said in this video, I've never been to Saskatchewan physically, but it has one of the lowest costs of living. People are nice. It's a small province, not geographically like land mass, but in terms of like population wise. But it's way cheaper than Vancouver or even Winnipeg or Halifax or Toronto or Ottawa or even Montreal. It's fine. You picked a good place. It's freaking cold there, that's for sure. But other than that, people are nice. And after your PR, you can choose to go anywhere. Jida says, what email should I use? Just send it to info@ingwe.ca, our website, ingwe.ca, and before that, @info. And then mention you talked to me on YouTube Live, and we discussed startup visa work permit refusal. Investinethiopia.com says, hello Reza, send me your WhatsApp. I don't have a WhatsApp directly, okay, investinethiopia.com, but you can go on our website and we have a WhatsApp and our office responds, and of course we'll help you. Jida Jewel says, Reza, we applied for this work permit since January and the refusal came more than a year after. Do you advise we just wait for the PR? No. So this is important, folks. Pay attention. If you haven't been paying attention until now and you've been like watching Netflix or playing some cool multiplayer video game or eating your donuts, now is the time to pay attention. If you have a startup visa work permit refusal, you don't wait for the PR, because that basically means they're getting ready to refuse your PR. You've got to fight the work permit so you can actually have a chance of the PR. This message should go out to all startup visa work permit applicants. If you get a refusal on a work permit, startup visa work, that is not on a technicality, like it's not, because you didn't pay a fee or fill out the forms, but because they didn't believe you, then you need to fight that. You need to reapply, you need to do judicial review, you need to get the refusal notes. You need to challenge that, because what that means is if you don't do it, your PR will most likely be refused. Okay? This is a reality. If anyone doesn't believe me, that's fine. If anyone wants to challenge me on that, I would welcome that as well. Okay? And as many of you know, I am very deep in the startup world, and I'm regularly in touch, like daily, with incubators, venture capital, multiple lawyers, aware of what's going on the different fronts, agents, applicants, stakeholders. And that is my advice to you. Waiting for the PR is suicide. Sravani says, okay, thanks Reza. Yes. MP Nisha Pandey says, hello sir, I'm waiting for my LMI work permit confirmation letter, which I've applied from Kuwait. So when can I expect that? MP Nisha Pandey, it's very slow from GCC countries. It could be anywhere from 4.5 to 6 months minimum. Okay? Unless it's in a high level position, in which case you can ask the employer to submit request to IRCC, the employer to go to their local MP and ask for the global skills strategy fast track processing to put pressure on them. Sravani, no problem. Thanks so much, Reza. No worries. McLean Ado says, Reza, were you saying I should send you your office mail, or I say please I declared it? No. Yeah, about your visitor visa, McLean. Yeah, you gotta send a direct email to IRCC, to the embassy in Taiwan. Okay, so you gotta do that. Not us. No, I'm not IRCC. I know maybe my color of my shirt is IRCC today, but no, you send them an email and probably they'll do nothing, but you've got to follow up. You're kind of stuck in the machine, the IRCC machine. That's what I call it. Winfred Ido says, good interaction, Reza. Thank you, Winfred. Jida says, thank you, Reza. God bless you. God bless you. God bless everyone here. Gustavo, hello, Reza. Thank you for the info. No problem, Gustavo. I know you were doing a startup, and I know you were looking for investors and stuff. I know. I have a pretty good idea about that. So thanks, everyone. We're back next week. Thursday, 11 a.m. local time here in Toronto, New York, Montreal, Kingston, Waterloo, you name it, Ottawa. We are here to help you, answer your questions, spread the love, share the love. Thanks for everyone. Thanks, McLean. Thanks for joining us today. We will be back here next week and releasing videos in the meantime. So stay tuned. Thank you. And MP Nisha, I may know the actual reason respond for slow process visa. There's no actual reason, MP Nisha. It's just GCC countries are horrible. The Canadian visa, the embassies there, they're the slowest ever. Okay, I don't know why, it's the black box. That black box they talk about, that nobody knows whatever happens in a black box. That's exactly what IRCC is, and especially those embassies over there. Thank you very much, folks. We'll see you soon. And today